done with casting pearls amongst the swine. 'Cause each of us is running out of time. It's already started silent, you won't hear a chime. You'll be measured and punished for each heavenly crime.
Welcome to the Belfast Bapcast, and back again for a very, very quick one is Mr. Anderson. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Mark. How are you doing?
Not too bad. So we've wasted about 20 minutes of our time because we were gabbing away like two old women. So, we'd asked you back today just to give any potential updates on Tanzania. Have there been any more word from your contact? Or
No, I haven't heard from him at all. And I even emailed him to say that I had put the information out there, that I'd spoken to you about it on here, and that I put it on Facebook, and it was shared. Hundreds of people shared it. So I did what he asked me to do and what should have been done, and I have not heard from him since, and that's a little bit concerning.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not necessarily a very comforting set of circumstances, and I've still seen or heard no more mainstream news in regards to Tanzania. And I mean that leads to an overall picture that it is just utterly controlled staged narrative,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people are suggesting that the mercenaries were armed through the United Nations, that it was them that actually equipped the mercenaries. And the last check was the death toll perhaps approaching 20,000 now. But I don't have any more information from him because he's gone quiet. And like I said, I emailed him, I've heard nothing back, and he normally replies within about 15 minutes.
There's been great unsettlement in Tanzania ever since their president, prime minister, or whatever they have during COVID sent off all the duff samples to prove that it was a load of bollocks, and he mysteriously dies.
And that happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, those mysterious deaths.
Yeah, that's been happening for forever, hasn't it? I mean, look at when people have, announced that they've cracked free energy, then suddenly they disappear, don't they?
Why would you ever announce it? You know what I mean? I know you want to give it out to mankind. We've got so many case studies, though. Of anytime somebody shows that they can now turn a hydrogen molecule into, combustion, you die. It's the next sort of logical step, and it's sad. It's really sad because I do believe, obviously, given your field of work, that at one stage that was exactly how the world operated on free energy and almost utopia. But obviously, there's bad apples, and that's why we've ended up back in this human condition.
Yeah, and we're always going to get that, aren't we? That there are always going to be people. I mean, it's like when people say, well, I think we should start again. We need different political parties. There are better people out there that could be prime minister. And my argument's always the same. It doesn't matter who you put in charge. They will become corrupt. Power leads to corruption. It always has done. And what we need is a true democracy where there isn't one person leading anything at all. Yeah. Perhaps there is just an office full of administration staff who put through our wishes, and everything's done by us being given options. And I think the same is true with councils. If we you use your council to, we pay the council to keep the street clean, to collect our bins and so on, and lots of other services they provide. But under the Monopolies Act, why can't we use an alternative? Why can't we say, well, we don't like your prices you're charging, I'm going to pay for...
Considering they are registered companies, it is a monopoly. That certainly falls under that legislation. And that's the thing, you could actually topple the system with their own legislation because they breach it
exactly
at every single layer. But that just goes to show that it's one for thee and another for that. You know what I mean? The rules don't apply, and even the Magna Carta that you'll hear all these sovereign folk, pipe on about, that was written for the gentry, not the not the pauper. You know what I mean? It wasn't. It's not for
Yeah.
the common man still,
No.
but that's just the way life goes. And I think it is cycles. You know, like as I was saying, that at one point it was near utopia, and then these bad apples destroy, and we end up back in a situation like this where it's enslavement without the chains, and like consumerism is the whore that we all follow around and kind of just blindly fall into, predication to.
That's what the shirt and tie represents. People who go to work wearing a shirt and tie. That's what that represents, because you've got the cuffs and the collar, and then the tie is the lead or the noose, and that was put in place to represent that. Yet, if we're going somewhere, a wedding, or got a job interview, or going to court, or whatever it is, we'll wear that because we want
I
to
love
look
it too.
smart.
Yeah, yeah. But that's all association, isn't it? Had it been that a man went to work from day one in a penny and a blouse, you would probably get the same feeling now. 300 years later, putting on a penny and a blouse, going, I look really sharp here. And it is probably, it's just association more than anything. But you
Yeah,
can't do
it's
it
funny.
suit.
It's funny. Yeah, I agree. There are times where my youngest son's getting married in a few weeks' time, and obviously we've all got to wear suits there, and everybody will try and outdo everybody. We wearing a better
Yeah,
suit, or perhaps better shoes, or whatever it is, and it's an opportunity to dress up, isn't it? But symbolically behind it all
yeah.
is that that's enslavement, and also one of the best analogies I've ever heard of an office block was in London years ago, and someone was talking about how impressive this new office building was. So I used to have to go to London quite a bit for work, and there was this huge office block, state of the art. It looked impressive, to be fair. It wasn't your typical brutalistic building, just a rectangle. And someone
Yeah.
just turned around and said, in the end, all that is people sat at cubicles that would have been in production lines years ago, and before that on a conveyor belt. It is a white collar factory. It's still a workhouse, but now it's artificial light, and people sat in booths. So nothing's changed. It's just we think that we have evolved, but actually they've just changed the names and given us tech to make us
Well, we're
feel
so
that we've
well
advanced.
conditioned that we police each other's thoughts. So, by pointing out the obvious that they removed the chains and they became invisible ones, you're called a pontificator or a conspiracy theorist, but yet you're just a pattern recognizer. It's clear to see that the normal person can only ever advance to a certain level. There's a ceiling, and it will always keep you in a consumerism like cycle, no matter which level it is you rise to, because your lifestyle rises along with it because of the conditioning that you think that you need more now because you earn more, and then you get into more debt. It's a vicious cycle, and it's utterly fruitless. Like what do you
Yeah,
actually need these things for? You know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And each time we progress to a better phone, or a better laptop, or tablet, or whatever it is, the ability to watch what we do, track where we go, and look at what we look at increases, and we've got to a point where people will queue for the latest iPhone on the day it comes out, which is just designed to trap them and monitor, and provide surveillance a little bit
But the
better than the
problem with
last one did.
investments is that real that like people who are even aware will still get excited about a new purchase of a phone.
Mm,
Even though they're aware that this is further tracking, further biometric information being stolen, further,
mm,
that doesn't enter the head because you are also conditioned and also part of this thing. And there is lapses when you unfortunately just go along with the programming. You
mm.
we're not exempt from it. And like I love new shiny things, but after the 3 days, what's the point? Like, what? Why did I get that again?
Yeah,
Unless it
I
provides
used
a
to be
function.
like, yeah, I used to be. I'm a petrol head, And as I've gotten older, I appreciate older cars a lot more than I did. I've had some old cars over the years, old classic cars, and a couple that I've restored. But I've wasted a lot of money on cars, and I thought they mattered. And have you heard of a guy called Allegedly Dave?
Yes, yes,
So
good guy.
I was chatting to him yesterday, and he said that the moment when he woke up was in New York. He was working, actually, he worked at the Twin Towers. He was in IT doing programming, and he had a brand new Ferrari, a huge house in New York, earning an absolute fortune. And he pulled up at a set of traffic lights, and everyone was staring at him. And he realized that it wasn't him that they were looking at. They were looking at the car, this brand new Ferrari he was sat in. And then he thought about it for a moment and realized that he couldn't see what they could see because he was in it. And to him, all he could see was a steering wheel and a dashboard and the road ahead. And that he had spent all of this money on something for other people to see him in. And he quit his job, came back to England, and bought a motorhome and went off travelling, and lived and went sort of almost semi off grid. And it was that moment that he realised that it was ego. Everything connected to that is ego. You want to be seen with something someone else hasn't got, or better than next door. Or I used to live with this bloke before I got married. Me and him shared a flat, and his ambition in life at 25 years old was to earn more than his dad. And I thought, I wonder how your dad feels about that. I mean, your dad's going to be proud that you've done well, but your dad might not be proud to hear that your ulterior motive is actually to outdo your
What
own
in time,
father.
yeah. It's very strange and motivator. And like,
Shallow.
yeah, very shallow. I understand it like as well because that is kind of the this is societal programming that you should be wanting to be savage and out earning whatever. But like I've found in business that there's far much more like fulfillment in giving back. Also, sponsor a football team or like give to your local charity or whatever. Because like what the fuck do you need it for? You know what I mean? If your
Yeah.
bills are paid, there's food in your stomach. Your clothes aren't falling to pieces. You're sorted. You know what I mean? There's-
Yeah, we're wealthier than a lot of people in the world. I mean, if you can turn your lights on and they actually come on, you've got electric, and your tap actually pours water when you turn it, then and there's food, in the cupboard, then you're wealthier than, an incredible number of people across the earth,
the
and
flip
probably
side of
within
that,
our own towns too.
they're wealthier than us for what's coming because when the electric goes off and the taps don't just automatically produce drinking water that's filled with fluoride, uh, we'll not have a fucking clue what to do. And those who have always had to suffer will know.
Well,
Do you know what I mean? They'll have the knowledge of,
absolutely,
and
absolutely, and
what we
this is
perceive
something that
as
I'll sh-
primal and all the rest. They've got so much more actual earth ability than what we have.
I'll show you something quickly, and I'll try and do this without breaking the connection. They're all old books.
Yeah,
I've got hundreds and hundreds of old books, encyclopedias, like first editions of like Dickens and Hans Christian Andersen. And my wife and I collect them. We've got old medical books, old books on how to grow fruit and veg, all sorts, absolutely everything. And when people come around, they see all that, because that's just one of the bookshelves. They say, "Well, you've got all these books and you've got all this vinyl. Have you got any CDs, and don't you use Spotify and iTunes?" So yeah. I can also use iTunes. But what are you going to do if it all gets switched off? You'll have nothing to watch, nothing to read, and nothing to listen to. And
analog backup.
fortunately, yeah. And when people say, "Oh, I don't read anymore," or "I'd rather read, an ebook or a Kindle, than I would actually hold a physical book." What they don't realise is, and I totally understand that, and I'd be a hypocrite if I said I didn't, because I put my books out on Kindle, and I get it, especially if you're travelling. I totally get it. But the nice thing about a book is when you've read it, you can pass it to somebody else, and that book will last potentially hundreds of years, and it will get passed and passed. And I was speaking to someone today that just bought my second book, and I said, "Oh, did they sort of follow? It's not a sequel as such, but they sort of follow on." And I said, "Oh, did you read the first one, Tesla and the Cabbage Patch Kids?" They said, "Yeah." They were on a bus in Australia, and someone had just finished reading it and left it on the seat, and said, "I've just read that. You might want to give it a go," and left it for the
Was that in your
person that was
comment
sat next to
section
them.
or something?
Hmm?
I think I
So
seen something in your comment section or something say about that very incident about finding your book.
yes, that's it. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. I think that must be where I see it. So I started talking to them. Yeah, in your comments, that must be where I saw it. Yeah, it was on a bus.
yeah, that's mad. That's absolutely mad. And the
Yeah.
but I think a book also has like what a watch is for some people. You know, it's not the actual thing. It also holds a story. You know, as you say, it's passed to whoever. There's a lineage
Mm.
behind it. It's not just the story within within the front and the back page. You know, it's a lineage to it. Like a father would pass a watch to a son or whatever. There's a bit of a story to the actual item itself.
Mm. And it can't be changed, and I think that's important, because what we submit to Kindle, we don't know if that's actually what people get to read the following
Unless you're
day
checking it
or
every
a year
single,
later.
yeah.
Sorry.
Unless you're like checking it every single day, just to make sure
Yeah.
no alterations or it's a
Yeah.
scary time to live in. I know you've got very little time, so I'll let you get on. So we've wasted enough of it already. But if you do get any more updates, sure you can send me an email, and I'll update, and I'm sure we'll have another show arranged because we do enjoy an Ireland Natter. So, um,
Yeah, no problem at all. It's a bit weird that I haven't heard from him. Like I
but
said, he
here,
normally replies quite quickly.
what about getting contact with Anatoly?
I couldn't believe it when you said that.
Yeah,
Now,
you
have you
can't
emailed
really
him
see.
yet?
So I went home that evening and found a contact for him, and then so his co-author, which arguably probably he was the nuts and bolts of the actual um, theory of it. Like I know from talks and stuff, he does more of them, so he probably would be the one to get on. But yeah, just mad that he even replied, to be honest. So,
Yeah. Mind you, how old is Anatoly now? I mean, I don't know offhand when he was born, but he's no spring chicken, is he?
no,
He's going to be
he's bound
clocking
to
on a
be
bit.
at least, yeah, yeah, it's bound to be
So
old. But
maybe that maybe this person's taken his reins. But
yeah,
be
if we
interesting
can
to
get that
see what
arranged, that
happens with that.
would be brilliant. It'd be good just to see just the two of you have a discussion about stuff because obviously a lot of nobody really would have knew about the chronology without their work, or even
Mm.
really started to look into Tartaria unless they had started looking at buildings going here. What what is this about?
Yeah,
But
and questioning why, I think that's the biggest question of all for people that haven't researched it that thoroughly would be, why would they erase an empire?
yeah,
Why did they add, 800 or 1,000 years to our timeline? Why did they do that? What was the purpose behind it? And I think he's the one that really joined all the dots together and started looking at the Jesuits and then, the Industrial Revolution and all this old technology slowly being released, but controlled and owned by people that were able to make an incredible amount of money from it and make everything look like it was this slow evolution technologically, that we slowly advanced from day dot to now, and that everything has been a gradual step to where we are now, hiding the fact that we were once far more advanced than we are today. And of course, this text there, it's deep state, isn't it? And we have no idea what goes on in places like the dumb bases around the
no,
world. We
like
don't know what happens there.
even early 2000s, whenever I was like just left school, like I always sort of thought like if this is the technology we have, they're bound to be about like 60 years ahead, or whatever the case may be. But God knows how advanced they actually are. But
Yeah. Well,
that's another.
ChatGPT is supposed to be 70 years old. That particular technology is 70 years old.
Wow.
Now,
So how much?
what if that's what we've got now? What have they got? What iPhone are they on? iPhone 200? Where are they compared to us? You
They're
know,
already
and
they already have their neuro link in, and they're just
yeah.
downloading the information. They're
Of course,
already
a lot of people that's in biblical terms that is the mark of the beast, and I'm
100%.
sure it says that your hand or your forehead, doesn't it?
Your right hand to your
Um,
forehead is the word.
yeah,
So the number
and
of a
people are
man.
having it. And my thoughts on it are, if you think it's a good idea to have the chip fitted, then you should go and do it, because it doesn't matter what people like you and me say to them, they're not going to listen. So go ahead and
No,
get it.
and that's the important thing to anybody who's convicted about any sort of belief, that it's not your position or your job to shove it down the person's throat. It's your duty to say, this is what you think. And if it's strong enough, ferocity and true enough, it'll resonate. And if not, it won't. Walk on. It's not your job to rescue. You know what I mean? That's
Absolutely.
we
Absolutely.
pass
That's
our.
what we were saying off camera, wasn't it? That I learned during the pandemic. I mean, I lost my Facebook account and a load of friends at the same time. But I realized that my job isn't to force my views and opinions, even though I've got research. As I said to you a moment ago, I got information on a possible pandemic
Yeah.
next year, and it's not my job to tell somebody who's just had the latest booster what's in it and what it could do to them, because what am I going to do? Scare them to death? And if they're that heavily programmed,
And
I
if you're
need to
not
just be
offering
there
them
if they
any
wake up.
solution, you're not actually thinking, doing a good thing there at all, because you're making them aware. Here, by the way, you see that booster you just took is probably going to kill you, and offering them zero like hope whatsoever. Maybe the
Mm,
ignorance is the better option in that instance, because they're going to go ahead and
mm.
do it regardless, and they're not going to be
Yeah, and
wrong.
no, I do think that most people are so heavily programmed that all we stand to do is actually scare them, and of course at the same time you then get branded as a tinfoil hat wearer or a conspiracy theorist, and a lot of people say, oh, they don't like that term conspiracy theorist, but I think it's something that you should be proud of, because if you actually look at what that means, that you are researching the theories behind groups of people conspiring against us, and
Which
you're
is
doing it
happening
for
in the
nothing.
history.
You're doing it in your spare time, you're sharing it with people that might need to hear it or might find it interesting, and you're not looking for thanks. You're just trying to get information out there that could help people, and ultimately, if that information is shared with the right person at the right time, it could make a huge difference to their lives,
Of
and in
course.
fact it could save their life.
But that's why you do it, and that's why you keep doing it, because obviously there's no real point. The world's on a certain
Mm,
trajectory as is, but it's good to wake people up along the way. And as you say, it may not hit with anyone, but it may hit with one person, and that's all you're here for. You know what I mean? And it's an
yeah,
outlet. It's an outlet creatively. You wouldn't be doing it if you didn't enjoy it. And
yeah,
same as myself. And
yeah.
I dare say, even if I never get monetized, I would continue. It's just nice to have chats with people about different topics, and hear different ideas, challenge
Yeah,
your own beliefs, and I think people should do
I,
that
I
a lot more.
I totally agree. When I started my YouTube channel, I was just putting information out there and hoped that people would listen to it. And then when I realized that I had enough views and followers or subscribers, sorry, to become monetized, I thought, well, I might as well give it a go. But it was never about that for me, because obviously, I sell books, I write and sell books. But when I did, after 9 months of fighting with them, become monetized, it hasn't made any difference. I don't put any more content up than I did before. What you earn from it when you're just getting, 2, 3, 4, maybe 10,000 views is nothing when you look at the likes of people like Rogan and what they're generating from it. So it remains something for me that, a
It's
hundred
hobby.
quid isn't going to make a difference, a significant difference to anybody's life, but it does help,
Well,
because every time someone buys a book or YouTube or whatever, pays some money into my account, then I use that money to buy more books. I'll go hunting again, and that book that was in the second-hand bookshop that was a little bit too expensive that I couldn't justify, I now can. And so I kind of put it back into my research and use it as money that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So I find it useful for that. But
and
unless
it's
I
a
wake up
class. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say,
If you,
if I woke up tomorrow and I had 1 million views on something, then maybe I might start thinking, well, I'll slow down the writing and actually focus on getting more people on my channel and getting more information out there, and more people, perhaps some of the bigger names out there, like people like Bob Lazar, for example, and Anatoly Fomenko, would be more likely to want to come on if they saw the audience size of it, thinking, right, I've got an opportunity to really hit this big time. But the problem is, I think along with that, when you've got a large following like these people, I think that they're very careful about who they get on, very careful about the content. And I think there's an element of control in there as well, because I don't think you can have the following of someone like Joe Rogan or even 𝐬𝐿 from the Y Files without somebody somewhere approaching you and saying,
editorial,
you know,
yeah.
be careful what you're talking about, or we'll share certain things with you, providing you don't go and cover this topic and you don't go there either. In exchange, perhaps you might get a deal on Spotify for a few million dollars, and you
Yeah,
don't
you
know
see
how it
that.
works.
You know who's
But
viable and you know who's not. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like, it's clear to look in my face that I couldn't give a flying fuck about sponsorships or anything. I'm literally here to give my view of the world and understand that it's probably not monetizable view. But so be it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be a psychedelic wizard like Joe Rogan, who is leading young men into like lost minds. Really, he's not offering them any fruit. You know what I mean? Like, oh, go take DMT, and what sort of advice is that? It's not really opening your consciousness to. It's packaged as some sort of great spiritual journey, but I don't think. What did you call the one that really Tim? Wasn't Tim Leary the only one who really done the DMT loads? Terence McKenna. You ever hear
right,
Terence?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
How fractured was his mind when you look at the readings? You know what I mean? Like, why would you promote that? It seems a very strange, especially when he does have such a young male base audience.
mm.
Um, that's just my thoughts on Joe Rogan. But here, I've kept you long enough, so I'll let you
Oh,
get back to your day, sir.
thank you. I'm editing at the moment, but if you want to, if you want me to share that information I told you about, then I'll gladly do that at some point if you want.
Yes,
We just
hundred
have to be a
percent.
little.
The rest of the week, or next week, or the week after, whatever suits you. So,
Yeah, sure.
just
Yeah,
chat with me.
yeah, no
So
problem at
I'll
all.
take you off screen now and beg for people to like, share, and subscribe like a hoe and get the music playing. So have a good day and thank you very
Thanks for
much,
having
Guy.
me on, Mark.
All the best. Bye bye. And if you could like, share, and subscribe, and yeah, that has been Guy, and that is me. See you later.
Only in the looking back in life are you able to discern that you were being crafted through every little concern. Falls and trials attack because you had a role. This is why there's been a constant fight for your soul.